Three, two, one.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I'm Chef AJ, and I'd like to get started. There's so many questions in the chat. Thank you so much for participating in the chat and telling us your name and where you're from. And we also had a lot of people that wrote in questions. I can answer questions about anything, but a lot of the questions are about the 30-day Reboot program that starts on Tuesday, June 1st. It's a program that we run twice a year, so this will be the last time this year. If you don't take it this time, you'll have another opportunity, but it won't be until January 2022. It is a fabulous 30-day program that actually has 4 wonderful instructors, and I'm only 1/4 of this program. It is myself, John Pierre, who is a fitness and nutritional guru of the stars. He's trained people like Ellen DeGeneres, and there's just the list goes on and on. I don't know if I'm privy to say all the names. So if you go to his website, you can see who some of his celebrity clients are, but he loves working with us regular folks, and he's incredible at what he does in terms of both weight loss and food addiction and just overall health and fitness. And also my two of my very favorite people in the world, my mentors, Dr. Doug Lisle and Dr. Alan Goldhammer. They're the co-authors of The Pleasure Trap. They're from the True North Health Center, and they participate in this program as well. And a lot of people are saying, well, what's the difference between this and all your other programs? I don't have all that many programs, but I do have a few others like the Master Class and, of course, the Summits. So what's different is the way it is delivered. So it's a 30-day program. So each day you get some videos. And it's not like hours worth of videos. So if you were in the Master Class, you know, there was a lot of work and a lot of homework because it was an advanced class. And not that this is a beginning class, but everything is broken down into digestible, pun intended, bite-sized nuggets every day. You'll need at least 10 to 20 minutes. If you can't commit to that, it's probably not the right program for you at this time. But what's different about this time than when we ran it in January is we learned from our other programs that people really love the community support, and more people are leaving social media, especially since seeing those documentaries like Social Dilemma and how addictive it can be. So a lot of people don't like to participate in Facebook. So we created our own private forum, and we have some of our advanced coaches that moderate that. And people seem to love that group experience. And so you will get that as well, which we didn't have in January because we didn't have it in place. And we have 5 live interactions. It just worked out perfectly that June 1st was a Tuesday, because that's generally the day that we do our classes, because Monday, sometimes people are still kind of in weekend mode and it can be a difficult day. We found that Tuesdays can work for a lot of people. We do our live classes and they go for 2.5 hours is what we commit to. But those of you that have been in my classes know sometimes they go 4 hours. We try not to, but there's some, depends on how many questions there are. And so the 5 live interactions are done through Zoom in a way that we can see each other. Now, of course, you always have the option to not turn your camera on. We love when people can see each other, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can access it from any tablet, phone, or computer. And the 5 interactions go from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. minimum Pacific time on Tuesday, June 1st, 8, 15, 22, and 29. And week 1, 3, and 5 are myself and John Pierre, where we'll be going over the material and the content. And week 2 and 4 are amazing because Dr. Lisle and Dr. Goldhammer each take a week and they just go through every question you have. And they literally for 2.5 hours, that's about their maximum. That seems to be about the maximum for a lot of people. So those are very exciting nights when they join us. So I have the written questions here, but I'm going to go to the chat first because I know that sometimes that moves quickly. And hello, Diane from Tucson, who signed up. That's fantastic. So I'll just ask these in the order that they're received. So Julie says, can we eat instant oatmeal or old-fashioned oats that are ground up in a blender? So without knowing your particular situation, what your goals are, like, for example, if your goals are weight loss, if it's weight maintenance, if it's trying to manage food addictions, my answer could change depending on that. And so one of the things I've always said, and people sometimes forget this when they say, well, Chef AJ said you had to do this. First of all, I don't say you have to do anything. Even if you're my private client, I don't say you have to do anything. It's not a court-ordered program. You have free will. I make suggestions based on what people tell me, what their situations are. So if you are somebody that is very vulnerable to the effects of food addiction, and by the way, food addiction is a terrible name for a disease because you have to eat. It's not like other addictions like cocaine or heroin or alcohol or cigarettes or even coffee, which you don't have to do. That is a choice. Everyone must eat 1 or many times a day. So it's the only addiction where you're confronted with your drug of choice on not only a daily basis, but everywhere you go, from the hardware store to the pet store. So people vary in how susceptible they are to the effects of food addiction, which really is refined food addiction, which means sugar, flour, and alcohol. Sugar and flour go through through the exact same refining process as drugs and alcohol. And for the percentage of the population, which depending on which expert you talk to, can be 1 in 7, 17%. Some people would argue it's 70% because that is the rate of obesity and overweight. These things will affect you more or less. So you have to understand that when you process a food, whether it's olives into olive oil, corn into corn oil, beets into sugar, grains into flour, you always make it more calorically dense and more nutrient poor. So that's just one thing to consider in overall. So is it a major sin to grind some oats in a blender, and put in a banana and water to make waffles? No. However, people that are very susceptible, they find that this can be triggering for them. And what it'll cause them to overeat. So I think the most important thing on any program is you have to know yourself. I don't like when people say that everyone must do something, because no program, whether it's a weighing and measuring program or a keto program, nothing is a one size fits all. We can't paint everyone with the same brush. There's going to be individual differences and variations. Just in general, though, if your goal is weight loss, when you grind the grain into a flour, whether it's to make a healthy pasta or bread, you are going to make it more calorically dense. And so if your goal is weight loss, you want to try to be eating things that are more calorically dilute. So I hope that answers your question. I don't think instant oats are the best choice. If you are familiar with the wonderful plant-based dietitian, Brenda Davis, I don't know if this is on her website or not, but I did see a lecture where she talked about the hierarchy of grains. And so the wholer your food, the better it's going to be for you, not only for weight loss, but also for health. And instant oats would be like the lowest. It's basically like flour. So in my hierarchy of grain, and also if you're familiar with my good friends Robbie and Cyrus of Mastering Diabetes, they write about this in this book, and this is especially important for people that are diabetic or insulin resistant. The wholest grain would be the best form to eat, which would be the oat groat. Many people don't eat the oat groat because they've never had it. They don't know where to get it. You can get it online, certainly. Where I live, there's a store called Clark's Nutrition that sells it in bulk. Once you've had the oat groat, it is so much better than an instant oat or a rolled oat or even a steel cut oat. It's the whole grain. It does take a long time to cook like rice, unless of course you use a pressure cooker, but it's very toothsome. And I find it's just much more delicious and satisfying. The next incarnation of oat would be the steel cut oat, where they cut the oat groat with a sharp blade. Anytime you take an intact whole grain and you cut it with a sharp blade, you now have a broken grain. And what happens is when you ingest that grain, you've increased the absorption in your intestine, which means that you raise your blood sugar more quickly, which raises your insulin more quickly. Insulin drives fat into the cells. That's the reason we want to try to eat our grains as whole as possible. So after the steel cut oat is the third incarnation, which seems to be what most people eat, which is the rolled oat, where it's been flattened, steamed, and flattened. And for me, that's almost like flour. And the reason I say that is, as a former pastry chef, one time we were out of the flour needed to use the recipe that night, and I had to get this cake done, and all we had was rolled oats, and I didn't even have to grind it. It turned into flour in the cake. So again, depending on how susceptible you are, the more you grind, the higher the glycemic index. I just don't know. So the answer is, when people say, is it okay for what? For weight loss, for managing food addictions. So in general, the wholer you can be, the better it's going to be for all factors, but it is not a cardinal sin to grind your oats. I hope that helps. Okay. Diane says, okay, thank you. On Tuesday, and sorry if it was a long answer, I do have a YouTube about oats that I did like the whole video about why I think that eating oatmeal and fruit is like cake, but only for those that are very susceptible, right? Listen, for people eating the standard American diet, it's a perfectly healthy breakfast to eat fruit and oats. But for somebody really struggling with weight or at a plateau or food addiction, beans and greens are going to be much better for you than oats and fruit. To me, oats and fruit are cake. And so I make cakes out of them called jam bars, and I eat them for dessert. So Diane says on Tuesday, it'll be like a Zoom class. Absolutely. So we've upgraded our Zoom to fit 500 people, which I don't think we'll have 500, which will be nice because then we can really interact. And as I mentioned, you can turn your camera on or off, and that will be your choice. We love when people at least turn their camera on at the beginning and the end so we can say hi. But yes, it's exactly like a Zoom class. And of course it's recorded. So if you miss it, or if you have to do something during the class, we don't take roll or anything like that. So you can go back to it, and you'll have it for life so that you can go back to it. And people have said, well, if I did the class in January, can I do it again? Well, you certainly can, because you have the material. We just can't let you in for free for all the Zooms because we have to pay all the teachers. And so, but you certainly you're welcome to come back. And those of you that are joining now will get access to the previous recordings of the previous classes. All right, let's see. Janet's asking a question that actually was written in by Mindy. So this is great. I have a weight loss plateau. How can I overcome this and keep losing it in a healthy way without being hungry? So that's kind of the basis of everything I teach. I don't know if you read my book, The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss, but really what I teach at the end of the day is a concept called calorie density. I learned this at the True North Health Center from Dr. Doug Lisle and Dr. Alan Goldhammer, but most of the plant-based programs are set up with this in mind. Like if you've ever gone to the McDougall 10-day program, whether it was virtually or online, they set it up, the buffets, in order of increasing caloric density. So in other words, the foods that are the lowest in caloric density, which are the highest in nutrient density, sorry, I got to think Bailey kissed me, they're going to be first at the buffet. So that would be like the salads, the raw salad. And then we have the steamed vegetables. And this is the same way at the True North Health Center as well. You have raw salad, or any raw vegetables, which is about 100 calories a pound. And then when you cook them, you take out some of the water, so you've increased the caloric density. It's about 200 calories a pound. And then next is fruit, that's about 300 calories a pound. And then you have your more satiating starches, potatoes, rice, beans, 400, 500, 600 calories a pound. And then if there is some whole food fats like nuts, seeds, avocado, that's a little bit off to the side. So it's in order of increasing caloric density. So this is important to know if you're at a plateau, because realize, especially if you're in the Feel Fabulous group, Dr. Lisle talks about this a lot every month when he comes on, that he says there's no such thing as a plateau, only a behavioral equilibrium. So that means that, first of all, I think plateaus are fantastic because so many people are gaining weight. And so if you're at a plateau, I think that's wonderful, because sometimes you just have to be at one for a while to get things settled. I've known people that have been very successful in my program, like Shada, who lost 120 pounds, and it's almost 10 years now that she kept it off. I remember she was coming to all my classes. I was teaching them in LA. She had we don't recommend weighing yourself, or at least not every day or every week, once a month at most, like Dr. Lisle recommends. But she had, I believe, 7 months where the scale wasn't changing, but she kept getting smaller and smaller. She kept needing smaller sizes of clothing, and she was changing in inches. It took her body a little while, and then all of a sudden it's like the weight then started moving again. But one of the things that's recommended, and I know Dr. Goldhammer will talk about this on week 2, is this concept of sequencing, because it's really important, Janet, that you said, how do I lose weight without going hungry? And that is what calorie density is. The work of Dr. Barbara Rolls is where I really got to understand this deeply, because she has a laboratory at Penn State University where she studies human eating behavior. And one of her most important discoveries was that all human beings eat approximately 3 to 5 pounds of food per day. Now, maybe if you're very petite, you don't eat as much as like Robert Cheek, the vegan bodybuilder, but we all consistently eat the same amount of food by weight. If we want to continue to eat that amount of food, then and to lose weight, we have to lower what's called the overall caloric density of the food. See, so what happens is most programs out there are weighing and measuring programs that people flock to because they do have people lose weight quickly. But the problem is they're not sustainable for most people. Most people can't eat thimble sizes of food and take a food scale with them everywhere and weigh and measure every meal. When you understand my work, Lose Weight with a Full Plate, you actually can eat twice as much food that you've eaten before and yet take in half as many calories once you truly understand caloric density. And there'll be lectures on this so that you really can understand this. So if you want to keep eating the same amount of food per day that you're used to eating, or even more, that means that you won't be hungry, because when you eat less food, you'll have more hunger. But you want to lose weight, you need to change the overall caloric density of the food you're eating. And remember, food varies in caloric density from 100 calories per pound with raw vegetables to 4,000 calories per pound, which is oil. So if you keep what's called the average caloric density, not your average calories per day, 567 would be way too low, but of the foods you eat, to about 600 calories per pound or less, most people can eat ad libitum, as much as they want, whenever they want, until comfortably full. Comfortably full means satiated, not so stuff that you're going to feel like you do at Thanksgiving. So what you can do is to skew calorie density in your favor by using this notion that I learned from Dr. Goldhammer, True North, which a lot of people do, even my slender husband, for other reasons, and it's called sequencing. And what that means is you eat the lowest calorically dense foods first before the higher calorically dense first. Now, I got everything wrong most of my life. If you read my first book on process, which we're republishing in the 10th anniversary edition, in the recipe section, I said, life is uncertain, eat dessert first. Well, that is a disaster if you're trying to lose weight, to eat the most calorically dense foods first. I had it completely wrong. So if you start every meal with a large salad, a raw salad, remember, only 100 calories a pound, you start to get full, you start to activate your stretch receptors and your nutrient receptors, because the foods that are lowest in caloric density, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and glutens, are also the foods highest in nutrient density. So you start this idea of every meal with a raw salad. This is how they do it at True North. I mean, I've been there. I've worked there for years, and I see what Dr. Goldhammer eats for breakfast. Everybody starts with this big raw salad from the salad bar, and then they go on to the cooked food. So the next thing would be the cooked vegetables. So now you're going from a food that's 100 calories per pound to 200 calories per pound. So if you eat a pound of raw salad and then a pound of steamed greens, you've eaten 300 calories, which is the same amount of calories in like a couple of tablespoons of nut butter or oil, but you've eaten a huge volume of food. So you start to be full by activating those mechanisms of satiety, your stretch, nutrient, and calorie receptors. Then you add, when you have room, the more satiated starches, the potatoes, the rice, the beans. And by doing this at every meal, you get full on fewer calories, because everything you're eating is high in fiber, high in water, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and micronutrients. I have never seen this not work. The thing is again, most people just want to keep doing what they're doing and expect the same result, but a different result, but that's not going to work. So even my husband eats vegetables for breakfast before he eats his oatmeal. So that's why I recommend not just vegetables for breakfast, but vegetables for every meal or with every meal. So that generally works when you're at a plateau. The other thing I find that can help, and if you join the program and you're in the group, you can do this, is by posting your meals. Because a lot of times, if you're not posting your food, at least for a period of time, sometimes things are sneaking in that you don't know. Like, so for example, one thing, maybe not so much during the pandemic, but restaurant eating can be a real culprit for people, because they're getting so much oil and salt in their food that they wouldn't get if they were making their meals at home. Also, like people that prepare lunches for their kids and then they lick their peanut butter spoons. So things like that. Sometimes just keeping a food journal for like just the 30 days of the program can give you some ideas of where there might be things to look at. And so that's generally what happens with a plateau. I don't think of plateaus as horrible. I think of that fantastic, because I think most people that I know, they just keep gaining weight. So plateaus are great. You've reached a behavioral equilibrium. You're eating the exact right amount of calories that you need to maintain the weight that you currently are. And you also have to remember one thing also, Janet, is that as you lose weight, you're going to need fewer calories unless you build muscle. You see, a lot of people don't want to exercise, and I get it. But the thing is muscle is metabolically active. And so you can actually weigh more and look thinner when you have more muscle, because muscle burns calories at rest. And so when you replace any fat on your body with muscle, you get to eat a lot more food because you're burning a lot more calories. As you lose weight, you need fewer calories because your basal metabolic rate, the amount of calories you need at rest, will go down. And so instead of eating less food, which is what most diets tell you, I say eat the right foods at the appropriate calorie density so you can actually eat more food. You know, when you think about it, there are people who are raw foodists, like Robbie Barbero. He was a type 1 diabetic, the co-founder of Mastering Diabetes, and he doesn't eat any cooked food. He needs to eat 14 pounds of food a day to maintain his weight. Now, I eat about 4 to 5 pounds a day. He eats like 3. I can't imagine eating that much food, but to think that you could, and he doesn't have any weight problems. So the idea is go lower on the caloric density scale, but don't omit the starches. You need them for satiety. But if you sequence and you do it at every meal, I think you will see results. Ginny says, same questions about plateau. Hello, Christine. It's so funny that all the questions that are written in, I'm seeing in the chat. It's like amazing. So, Judy's from Oregon is excited to start on Tuesday. Mary Lou says, is it necessary to abstain from all caffeine? Again, it depends. If what you do is working, keep doing it. But if what you're doing isn't working, you may want to change it up. Now, in a 30-day program, whether or not for you, Mary Lou, you should give up the goal of getting rid of caffeine, I don't know unless I get to know you a little better. And in the live program, we can bring you on and do some laser coaching and find out what your circumstances are. I would say in general, if people want to have caffeine, the best way to have it is in the form of green tea, because then you get all the other properties that are so helpful. However, there is decaffeinated green tea now that is made by this wonderful company that I just interviewed called Say Me, that has all the benefits without the caffeine. So I've done lots of videos on my YouTube channel with people like Dr. Roy Ortal and other sleep specialists. Caffeine is a drug, let's face it. And It's a drug people like. It's probably the number one drug in the world. They just put in a Starbucks a block away from me, a drive-through, and oh my God, it's like In-N-Out burger 24 hours a day. So it's a socially acceptable drug. But all drugs have a consequence, and everything has a cost-benefit analysis, and it can. Where weight loss, and I'm assuming you're asking this question if you're going to do the program. I would recommend people give up caffeine just for health if they can sometime in their life. I think once they do, they will feel better. It's just like any other addiction, like smoking. When you're in the throes of addiction, you can't imagine life without it. But if you look back on your life, I don't know, like I used to smoke. I mean, there's not a day that I think, wow, I wish I was smoking. It wasn't that great. I was addicted to Coke Slurpees. I don't go like, boy, I want to, there's a period, of course, where you do miss it and you struggle. But the problem is caffeine is such a potent drug. Dr. Frank Sabatino just said in the Feel Fabulous chat that, even with fasting people, that he's had a harder time getting people off caffeine than off like hard drugs like opiates and heroin, because it's just so powerful. And so with people wanting to get off caffeine, going to a fasting center is probably the easiest place, because then the miserable period is just a few days. But for people trying to do this at home, you really have to go slow, where you titrate, or like if you're drinking 5 cups of coffee a day, maybe you drink 4 regular and 1 decaffeinated. And there's ways to go very, very slowly. But where weight loss is concerned, my concern with caffeine is, for some people, they don't sleep very well because of it. And even 1 cup of coffee in the morning, caffeine has a 17-hour half-life. So for some of these people, it disrupts their deep sleep at night. And if you don't sleep well, generally the next day you don't feel like exercising and you don't eat as well as you could. But more importantly, and I think this is still on her website, if you look up lindacarney.com, we interviewed her a couple of years ago for the Truth About Weight Loss Summit. And she gave a lecture about 17 reasons why caffeine prevents you from losing weight. And it seems that for people that are more susceptible to weight gain and food addiction, that caffeine, even as little as 1 cup in the morning, is causing them to have sweet cravings, especially in the afternoon. And so you don't think about it when you have that crash at 3 o'clock and look for the sugar, that it was because of the coffee in the morning. So you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. However, there may be reasons down the line that you may want to consider giving it up if keeping it in your diet is preventing you from the goals you want in terms of weight loss and health. I hope that was helpful. Christina says, I watched Ultimate Reboot series for the last couple of weeks. I've been eating fruits, veggies, sweet potato salads. Me too. My fat intake goes less than 10 grams a day. No nuts, seeds. Not only I'm not losing, okay, well, see, here's the thing. I don't think you're doing anything wrong, but I don't know what you were eating before. If you were restricting calories or eating a low carb diet, you are going to gain weight. And it's not fat though, it's weight. See, there's a big difference between weight and fat. And this is where people get so confused when they do a low carb or a keto or a calorie restricted diet, because what they're losing is things like water. When you eat a high carb diet and a low fat diet, like I recommend, the scale's going to go up 4 pounds right away. 2 pounds because of glycogen that's now being stored in your liver and muscles, and 2 pounds of water. And so that, I don't know maybe you can post in the chat what your diet was before, but when the scale goes up, it is not necessarily fat. And there's no way to know on your scale if you lost fat or if what you lost. I mean, there are sophisticated ways to weigh people, like the BIA, the bioimpedance analysis, which some gyms have and some doctors' offices have, or the in-body machine. But the number of what you weigh doesn't tell me anything other than the gravitational pull from the earth. So I don't know if you're doing anything wrong. I don't know how much of each you're eating, for example. Are you starting every meal with a large raw salad followed by a large serving of steamed greens and then your starches? So I don't know. So I need more information. But the most important thing I'd want to know is what you were eating before. And was it a health promoting diet, or was it some version of a calorie restricted or low carb diet? I have never seen this program not work. And when Dr. Lyle and Dr. Goldhammer comes on, you can ask them, because they've had 40,000 patients now in the True North Health Center. And anytime you lock them up there, this is what they feed them, and they all lose weight. If they need to lose weight, by the way. If somebody doesn't need to lose weight, they're not going to lose weight on this program, most likely. Some people just come to the program for the community support or for helping them manage their food addictions, not necessarily, or just because they like spending, 2.5 hours. I'm telling you, you can't get a private consult with Dr. Goldhammer unless you go to True North. And Dr. Lyle, it's really hard to just spend 2.5 hours with them. To me, is like, those are my favorite weeks. You know what I love, love, love about you? I do not. Maybe it's my hair. I get that a lot. Going to the grocery store. Do we need anything specific for the program? So, it says, vegetables, your favorite vegetables, frozen, fresh. I wouldn't say so much canned because they usually have salt, but I would stock up on some, definitely some frozen vegetables. My favorite would be the baby Brussels sprouts from Trader Joe's. They're 99 cents a bag, and any kind of frozen fruits. So that would be good. I know we do we give them a shopping list right away? I know that we tell you what to eat basically because there's meal plans, but I would get that. And also your favorite starch. And so what that would mean is dried beans or lentils, any kind of legumes, any kind of whole grain, quinoa, teff, millet, amaranth, rice. So those kind of dry goods for sure, those last very, very long time. And then of course the other starches, which are my favorite, would be the winter squashes. I'm not sure how available they are in all areas right now. We still have acorn, butternut, and kabocha where I live. And then of course, potatoes and sweet potatoes. So that's what I would get. And that would be my, and any kind of spices you like. You answer all questions. I do. Well, that's the thing, Mina, I don't know if you've ever taken my classes, but what was that movie, Saving Private Ryan, where they said no man are left behind? It's funny because my sister always says no good deed goes unpunished. And when I do these classes, I stay until every question's answered, even if it's 4 hours. And so a lot of people get mad at me that I stay too long. But my feeling is you paid for the class, your question is going to get answered no matter how long it takes me. You're always welcome to sign off. But thank you for that. How do you ask questions for your YouTube interviews if you're not a member of the site? Okay, so I don't think you have to be a member of YouTube to comment. I could be wrong because I do subscribe to my own channel, but if you go on the YouTube when it's live, there is a chat feature. I don't think you have to be subscribed. Like I said, I could be wrong. But the other way is if you just sign up to be on my mailing list, chefaj.com, we send out every Sunday the list of guests for the next week, and then you can just send an email back answering the question or asking the question. Or you can answer it too. How many people do you accept? I don't know, but I don't know the answer. I mean, Zoom accepts 500, but usually we get 100 to 200 or so in the class. We try to keep it pretty small, and that sounds like a lot, but I'm going to tell you right now, less than half of the people show up for the lives. It's incredible, but they just don't. So it's really interesting. Yes, Anne from Pennsylvania. We're in Pennsylvania. I went to Penn. They are absolutely recorded. You can't access them later that day, Anne, because later that day is evening in the United States. Toby's 9 hours later, but within 24 hours. And very often the next morning when you wake up, you can access it. How would John Pierre fit in the program? Yeah, well, yes, there is a live Q. Okay, so John Pierre and I have worked together since 2000, doing multiple presentations and conferences and programs. And so he's going to be with me week 1, 3, and 5, the weeks that the two doctors are not. He may be there those weeks, just participate. He's not going to answer questions. So we basically answer questions together. If the questions are on fitness or those kind of things, he knows a lot about cognitive things that he's done in his work, then of course he's going to field them. But a lot of the questions, like for example, the question today on oats, we would both take a stab at. So he's going to be there for the week 1, 3, and 5. So you'll have at least 7.5 hours with him. How many ounces of water per day? So I don't know if it's so much how many ounces whoever they is, the people that I've interviewed say that when you pee, your urine should be not completely clear, but it should be a very pale yellow. So that's usually the indicator. It's hard to know how many ounces a person should drink because it depends on where you live. Like in the desert, you need to drink a lot more than, say, if you live in the Antarctica. Also, how much do you exercise? How much do you sweat? And how much fruits and vegetables do you eat? Because realize that when you're eating this way, fruits and vegetables are 90% water. You may not need to drink as much water. So I weigh about 119 pounds. And so let's just say I weigh 120. What I learned is you need at least half your weight in ounces. So that means I would need ostensibly 60 ounces a day. So this is 27 ounces. So I do 2 of these a day. And then I might have a little something later, but also I'm eating lots of fruits and vegetables. So that's about what I would say. Water is really important in terms of satiety when it's in the food. So this is great. The work of Dr. Rolls discovered that just drinking water is not going to make you feel full because it exits the digestive tract too quickly. like in about 20 minutes. But when it's bound to the food, this is why soups made from vegetables and salads and fruits are so amazing, because the water is with the fiber. And when you're eating the food with the fiber and water together, which is what we recommend everything is, because we don't recommend processed foods or animal products, which don't have fiber, don't have water, don't have nutrients, but fiber and water together make bulk. Like imagine a sponge, you put it in water, it expands, bulk creates satiety. So if you're eating enough of the whole natural food, you're going to be getting a lot of water from that. A lot of people find they end up peeing a lot more, and they may even have to come back on drinking water, cut back on drinking water later in the day so that they're not up all night peeing. Teresa from Cleveland says, what would be some make-ahead grab-and-go lunch ideas that could be eaten while traveling on a sailboat? How long are you going to be on that boat? I mean, and is there refrigeration? Or is it like, do you just go out for the day? So one of the things I'm thinking, you can pre-make salads. You know, you can batch cook anything, by the way. And so one of the things I love to do if I'm traveling is I eat sweet potatoes and broccoli almost every day for lunch, or Japanese sweet potatoes and a large chopped salad. I alternate with that. But if I'm traveling, I find that like cooked potatoes, not so much the russets, but the sweet potatoes can get like mushy. So what I do is I roast them, I chill them, and then I smash them and I air fry them, and then it's like having toast. I find that's very portable. Like if I'm traveling, I will do that. And God, I've never had a sailboat question. You know, I do a whole lecture called How to Eat Healthfully Anywhere, and sailboat has never come up. So grab and go. Wraps, for example, not with flour tortillas. I take collard leaves. Where I live at the Winco, they have these organic collards that are in a package, and they are giant. And I found that it's so much easier just to microwave them for 30 minutes, cut the stem off, and I wrap everything, not everything in them, but lots of things in them. I wrap my burgers in them, and by burgers, I mean plant burgers. I have different plant burger recipes, and I put sprouts in them. I've wrapped rices, like Mexican style rice in them. So wraps are another good thing. Hummus. So I would say a wrap would be a great idea. You can also wrap things in nori, or you could do nori and collard. So I think that might be a good idea, because I'm assuming you kind of maybe want something easy without silverware. How much food is produced in the recipes? I can't necessarily do that now, because I would have to literally make every recipe and measure it. I mean, I guess I've never given servings, because I am the exact opposite of the weighing and measuring program. I could only tell you how many cups, but then again, at this point, 2 days before the program, I'm not going to be able to remake. I have 400 recipes now to tell you how many cups they make, because I'm trying to get away from this idea that there is an appropriate amount of food for people to eat. There isn't. Everybody needs a certain amount of calories to neither gain or lose weight, but how much food that is going to depend on so many factors, particularly the caloric density of their diet. You know, our ancestors ate the diet of their ancestors was about 700-800 calories per pound. The diet of people today is much, much higher. And there's many ways to achieve an appropriate calorically dilute diet. And so I can't tell you how many servings, because I don't know how much salad you've eaten, how much vegetables you've eaten, how much fruit. So I'm sorry, it's something I might be able to consider doing in the future, but I don't know. And I don't know why you don't want to have leftovers, because that is the secret to success. Having leftovers, being prepared, is the secret to success. With leftovers, first of all, you can enroll other people. And I love having leftovers, because I give them to the neighbors and I get them to eat more healthy food. But I freeze everything. Every soup, stew, chili that I make, even potatoes, rice, everything can be frozen. And then when you need a healthy meal, you pull it out. So I think having leftovers is the greatest thing in the world, because then you're always prepared. But yes, you can have cut in half almost every essence. Anne agrees that oat groats are wonderful. Is the chat now? Yes, the chat is right now. And like Toby says, if you're not seeing it correctly, just refresh your page. Will you email a Zoom link the day of each class? I believe yes. Or do we get them the day before as well? You'll get it, I promise you.
It's in the website. They'll see, and it will be emailed too.
So there's like a website, like a member's website, and if for some reason you couldn't check your email or whatever, couldn't access it, it will be there. But yes, you will get that email every day, not every day, but the day of the class for sure. Hello, Nan from Halifax. Ellie says, I'm using Fitness Pal. What nutrition goals should I set? 80. So I'm not a nutritionist, and I'll say that right away. JP, this would be a great JP question, or even a great Goldhammer and Lyle question, but I wouldn't even worry about it, because if you're eating the way I say, that is about what you're going to be getting, to be honest. But I don't want to take a stab at a question that I'm not an expert at, and I don't know. I think that that's probably what I eat is 80-10-10, but I don't use any of those apps, so I can't tell you. I think some days I'm probably 7% protein, some days I'm 7% fat, 12% fat, but 80% carbs sounds good to me. Will you address cosmetics facials? I mean, it's not part of the program, Becky, but I'm happy to answer questions about it. I mean, I can answer it right now if you like, because then other people could know the answer. So I've had one facial in my life 21 years ago, was a birthday present. I didn't like it. It was weird. So I don't have facials. So my skin has improved, and nobody seems to like the answer of why it has improved, because if you watch some of my YouTube videos, my YouTube channel is 11 years old, you'll see that I was very, very dark. I was a sun worshiper, and I was one without sunscreen. And when I moved to the desert over 2 years ago, I had this brown spot on my face, and the dermatologist couldn't help me, so he sent me to a plastic surgeon, and they both read me the riot act here, as do all the doctors. The sun in the desert is not just more prevalent than in LA, it's a much hotter sun, and because these are people that see skin cancer all the time, they really, really scared me. I had never used sunscreen up until then, and I still don't really like to use sunscreen, so what I use is a full coverage hat, and if you follow me on social media, it's this really cute pink hat. Now with the pandemic, everybody thinks it's because I'm masking. No, I've had this hat for a long time. All it shows is the eyes, and then I wear sunglasses. And that way I don't even have to wear sunscreen. So I don't worry so much about my body because I know it's going to age as it ages. But so over 2 years, I do not let sun on my face at all. And that has made the hugest difference. Plus the fact that I eat at least 2 pounds or more of vegetables a day, greens. That is the secret. I don't have any special beauty products. There's 2 brands I like. One is Kaylin Harwell, which is vegan, and one is Body Deli. And I use them, but I don't have like a routine like where I have to use this product. I mean, I use them because they smell good, and sometimes I forget. And I'm going to be honest, I'm 61, and I do something that, well, I remember this actress, Susan Lucci, who I loved. She played Erica Kane on All My Children, and she's beautiful. And she's, I think, 10 years older than me. She was, the secret is you always take your makeup off. I've never taken my makeup off at night. I don't know why. I mean, I have makeup on today. Most days on the show I don't, but I want to look pretty for you guys. I never take it off. And I know that's terrible, and I could probably look better if I did. So that's what I do. And it's partly genetic, of course, but it's really what you eat and sun exposure. And so I know a lot of people don't want to give up that sun on their face, but that's what worked for me. Okay. Well, the people who did the program in January have, oh yes, absolutely. So, and you have the program. So you can, like, even though if you're not in the group every Tuesday, you can still follow along on a daily basis and like, not pretend, actually do it. But yes, we have to pay the speakers and the tech. And so you can't just do it again for free, but you can go along with us, you know, without being in the group. You won't get the community forum though. That's the other thing. But yeah, you have access to it right now. Will I be demonstrating cooking tools? Do I not demonstrate cooking tools?
Yes, you do.
I do. Okay, sorry. I mean, I can't memorize every single thing, and if I don't, then just ask me. Okay. Congratulations. I haven't, on publishing a process, the carbon fund. Yeah, this is the republishing of Unprocessed was a self-published book, and now it's being published by a publisher, the 10th anniversary edition. And I don't know if he's going to be willing to add that, but I'll make a note and ask him. I don't have control over this book the way I do my other book, Nutritional. And but we're adding a lot of recipes. We're giving updates on the recipes on how to make them low fat, and we're adding photos by Hannah Kaminsky. I think maybe the reason you're gaining weight, especially in the middle, it's a comment from Becky. Maybe stool. Okay, yeah, that's true. GI stuff. You know, people can have. I mean, do you remember that? I don't know if this is an urban legend, but supposedly when Elvis Presley died, he was like completely full of stool. This is, I don't know, you hear this like urban legend from people that do they're not called colonoscopies. What are those? Colonics. But yes, that's true. If you know, could be bloated, could be stool. Eliminate bowel contents. Yeah, I mean, it could be, you could have some kind of dysbiosis or GI stuff. That's why we recommend one of the plant-based gastroenterologists. We do a whole summit. It'll be back in the fall based on GI health. Pelvic floor physical therapists can help you. Again, that's a great point. We don't know if you're constipated, that kind of thing. ate the same, but used to eat a lot of nuts and seeds in diets. Well, that doesn't make sense because if you're caloric dense, I don't know a lot of nuts and seeds. If you're not eating them, it can be really hard to eat the same amount of calories in the food. I mean, nuts and seeds are 2,600 calories to 3,200 calories a pound. If you're really not eating anything less than 800, the other thing is, have you had your thyroid checked recently? I mean, this is something we can ask Dr. Lyle and Dr. Goldhammer if you're in the program and ask them what to do. Are there any particular spices to stay away from? I'm interested in how people season vegetables or to use. So Judy says, I mean, the only spice I recommend to stay away from if your goal is weight loss and managing food addiction is salt. There's just so much research now how it is such a powerful appetite stimulant that actually causes you to crave sweet, and how you eat 11% more calories when you salt your food. And this is all from Dr. Rosanne Alviera. I mean, she didn't do the research. She showed me the research, and we can link to that in the member center if you want. As Dr. Goldhammer says, salt, oil, and sugar are not foods. They're chemicals we add to the food that fool our brain satiety mechanisms and cause us to overeat. So that's the only one I'd stay away from. And then maybe potassium chloride if you're going to have a salt substitute, not to have a fake one. And then, of course, anything you don't like. And I'm allergic to black pepper, so anything you're allergic to or don't like. But, keep in mind that we want to make this as delicious as you can. However, anytime you season your food, you're going to eat more. But in the case of vegetables, that's exactly what we want you to do. There's a saying, condiment responsibly. And I got an email from somebody that's like bought the California balsamic and is like literally drinking the whole bottle. You have to know yourself, and when in doubt, leave it out. If you can't moderate the use of these things, it's probably better off that you don't include them. So I don't know how other people season their vegetables. So I've been doing this a long time now, and I really like the taste of vegetables now. So if I'm having steamed broccoli, I don't put anything on it. So with other vegetables that I don't like the taste of as well, like kale, believe it or not, I don't love plain kale. I will season it with one of the recipes in my book, like the Mediterranean kale, which has artichoke hearts and sun-dried tomatoes and garlic, and then drizzle balsamic vinegar on the top, or the lip-smacking mouth-watering kale, where there's onion and mushroom that have been sauteed first. So that those kind of vegetables that are more bitter, I might season that way. I'm trying to think, if I air fry a vegetable like zucchini, it doesn't need any seasoning, but sometimes a little balsamic drizzle. One of my favorite is the marinade that I've been making for a long time that I learned from Dr. Roy Artal on episode 107 of Healthy Living with Chef AJ, which is a 50-50 mixture of a salt-free mustard and balsamic vinegar, and it's a glaze and it's delicious. So that's how I season mine. Can you eat veggie soups for breakfast? And yes, you can, but I would recommend, if you're doing the program as designed where the vegetables should come first, you would eat a vegetable soup that is just vegetables, not one that has beans or rice or potatoes in it, but absolutely. Soup is very, very great for weight loss because, again, it's got all the vegetables and it's so filling. It's one meaning of a vegetable soup, not like a Manhattan clam chowder kind of thing. We'll be doing that. So Teresa, let me make sure, are you the sailing person? Yes. So, okay, here we go. Well, where'd it go? We'll be doing I don't know what the Great Loop is, so we'll run several months. Okay, well, it sounds like you have a lot of, one of the things that's great for traveling or for preparing for the next pandemic is you can buy online, and actually our stores like Winco sell these in huge things. You can buy dehydrated or freeze-dried food, and I mean plant food. They had every single vegetable, from every kind of green vegetable to every kind of starchy vegetable, from corn to butternut squash to sweet potatoes. And those things can be rehydrated. They take up less space. So that is something that you might want to consider. People that really like, I've known people that have actually bought, it's not a dehydrator, I think it's called a freeze dryer. It's expensive. It's a couple $1,000s. But I know a guy named Howard, who I've interviewed, who's taken all my recipes like black bean mushroom chili, red lentil chili, and then I guess it's called freeze dried, and then it's like vacuum packed, and it takes up like this much room, and then you just add water. So I don't know if you're able to get off the sailboat to get more food, but it sounds like, freezer stove. I don't know if you could bring an Instant Pot. This is something I want to think about. And this is what's such great about being in the group, because I'm here answering a bunch of questions like without having a lot of time to think about each one. But if you join the group, you'll have the community. And I'll tell you, we got a lot of smart people in there. We're going to have a lot of suggestions. I mean, we had a girl once who actually took a backpacking trip to Morocco, and that's the only thing she could bring was a backpack, and she made it work. Carol from California, I've been following the program with good success, lost 10 pounds, congrats. I find it easy to give up oil, but would like a sauce or dressing for vegetable salad and grain bowls. I don't like the taste of vinegars. Can I use cashew yogurt like for forager? I don't know what the content of the cashew yogurt is. I don't know if you'll be able to, because I don't have time to jump screens and look it up. I do when we're doing the live chat. And not that this isn't live, but I mean the program. I don't know how much fat is in there, but what I would do is if you don't like vinegars, do you like any kind of citrus? Do you like lemon juice, for example, or lime juice? Because my lemon poppy seed dressing is amazing. People have told me yummy sauce is great on grain bowls and all kinds of Buddha bowls, and that does not have vinegar in it. It does have a lemon juice in it. You can make, like I have a honey mustard dressing that is made out of cauliflower. When you steam it, much lower in fat and calories than a cashew yogurt. So that can be the base for a lot of creamy dressings that don't use vinegar. Can potatoes be frozen, says Anne? Yes, because think about it. You buy, not maybe you don't buy, but they sell French fries and hash browns already frozen. So you would cook them first. I've never actually frozen actual potatoes, but I have frozen kabocha squash after it's been cooked and sweet potatoes. Okay. Yeah, sugar is sugar, Susan. So, as Dr. Goldhammer will say, just because something is less bad doesn't mean it's good. It still has a caloric, honey, first of all, isn't vegan and it harms the bees. And, you can't give it to a baby. And I always think that if you can't give something to a baby, like honey, like coffee, like alcohol, I don't know, there's a lot of things baby can't eat, or can't give it to a pregnant woman like fish. Maybe we shouldn't be eating it either. But all sugar is highly concentrated. It's not found in nature, not in any concentrated form. All we have is the actual fruit. Fruit's about 300 calories a pound. Even dates, dried fruit is only 1,300 calories a pound, but sugar is 1,800 calories a pound. And the American Heart Association, the American Cancer Society says it's not the type of sugar that matters, it's the amount, and we should keep it. We don't need any processed sugars at all to survive or thrive, but we should keep it to 5% of our total calories. And for most women, that's like less than 100 calories for sugar. That's less than 2 tablespoons a day. So my recommendation, especially if you have weight issues or food addiction, or have cravings, is to eat the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the whole fruit. So I don't recommend any of those sugars. It's like Dr. Goldhammer says, just because something's less bad doesn't mean it's good. And the more sugar you eat, the more sugar you crave, and it becomes a perpetuating cycle. You can learn to satisfy your sweet tooth with fruit. And once you get off sugar, then even things like romaine lettuce tastes incredibly sweet. Sweet potatoes are so sweet for me now that I've got to put hot sauce on them because they're too sweet. Yeah, and Babs says, yes, potatoes can be frozen, but must be cooked foods. Becky 61-2, I don't take off my makeup either. And so the, the people that advise me say, they have those little pads and that I should at least just keep one by the bedside and do it. I think the only way I'd do it is if I just went and washed my face after dinner, but I don't know. And the thing is, I don't know where, Corona, California, I'm not sure where that is, but, a really good dermatologist or I don't know a plant-based one in California, but I don't know if Dr. Jessica Krant does. She might do coaching. I mean, she can't be your doctor, but there are things that really can improve the look of your skin. I'm not a doctor, but I did ask about all these different things. There are the retinols she talks about. And this is without having to have procedures, but there are some things now that you can buy with a prescription from your dermatologist or plastic surgeon that just improve things that lighten, tighten, and whiten without surgery. So I'm not an expert at that. I did do a YouTube with Dr. Timothy Joshin. I think we talked about that, but we can have him on again. But again, some of the skin is genetic, but again, I really think the sun is the most damaging thing to most people's skin. Nope, Diane, you should have sound, so I don't know why you don't. Second request for carbs. Okay, I'm writing this down, guys, but carbs. I will ask the publisher for diabetics. Okay. Can you eat too much how much is too much? So Table Tasty has a very small amount of nutritional yeast in it. And for some people, I think that might be a little bit of an appetite stimulant. I wish you would make one without it. It is a very small amount. Are you eating it? I guess my question, Ginny, would be like, can you not eat food without it? Because if that's the case, it might be a problem. I don't know how much is too much because I don't know how much you're using. A sprinkle on everything is probably okay. I don't know. I don't think there's a Table Tasty Anonymous yet. I suppose it's possible to eat too much of anything, but it would be good if you could learn to enjoy food without it as well as enjoying food with it. Well, the doctor recordings, no, I'm sorry, no, we have to pay them each time. And no, we can't, it's like unfortunately, we can't give you the program for free. If you did it before, we appreciate it, but it's just sort of like when you take a college course, if you take it again, you still have to pay the tuition because there are expenses in running a business and especially when we have the doctors. So unfortunately, no. And people have asked, can I just come the week that Dr. Lyle's there? No, it would be an administrative nightmare to try to figure that out. So we hope you'll join us because I think you'll glean new things from all 5 sessions. Plus you'll have the community aspect this time. Bambi, you can't have access to this course. You have access to the one you took in January. So you can repeat it on your own. But if you want to be with the group and be with the lives, you have to register again. What are your thoughts on pickles and olives? So pickles are great, especially if you make them without salt. And you can. I have a recipe on my YouTube. It's called Quickles. And the salt's not so great for lots of reasons, health and food addiction reasons, weight loss reasons. Olives are very hard to find salt-free, but if you can, they're fine. They're high in fat, but I'd much rather see people eat the olive than the olive oil. Good, Diane can hear and see again. What are your thoughts on dried fruits? So dried fruit is certainly better than eating sugar, in my opinion. It's a lower in caloric density. It's 1,300 calories a pound versus 1,800 calories a pound, but it's very sweet because guess what? The water's been removed, so the sugar's been concentrated. So I think of things as good, better, best. If somebody's saying, like, if I don't have a date, my favorite is dried jackfruit. It's a dried watermelon, but it's basically candy. It can be cracked to some people. It's very sensitive. So if somebody says, well, if I don't have, a little piece of dried fruit after dinner, or when I'm having a craving, I'm gonna, go to Krispy Kreme or Cinnabon, of course, have that. But it's still better to eat the fruit whole because then you've got the water intact. The dried fruit has the fiber intact, but without the water. And it really is calorically dense. Think about it. Apples, blueberries, most fruit is 200 calories a pound. Dried fruit is 1,300. So it's 6 times as calorically dense. So, a sprinkle of raisins here and there probably isn't the problem. But some people just can't have it in their house because if they have dates in their house, even for use in a recipe, they'll eat a lot of them. And then the next thing you know, they're putting peanut butter in the date. So I think dried fruit is very healthy. And I think it's especially useful when you travel. So on the sailboat, that might be a great thing to have. I definitely always take it with me when I travel. I take dried bananas because they're really calorically dense. And a lot of times, well, I haven't traveled since November of 2019, but when I was traveling every week, a lot of times I couldn't get enough food at conferences and spas because the spas give you like spa portions. So I take bags of dried bananas that were like 400 calories a bag because I just needed the calories. So calorically dense, but healthy. Yes, and Christina's suggesting leaf side for travel. The problem with leaf side is I have asked them to please make some lower fat options. They refuse. They're all almost all of them are very high in fat, but still, like grape. Mama says, could probably deliver to your boat, Does the program include any recipes with your date paste recipe?
I don't recall specifically. You have a bunch of recipes.
I don't know, but the date paste recipe is very easy. It's a pound of water and a pound of dates. Soak the dates overnight, or unless you want to get it quick, then you soak it in hot water and blend in a food processor. Add a teaspoon of vanilla powder if you like, and boom. So that recipe is also on YouTube. I'm afraid I will gain weight if you eat potatoes. You might. Your scale might go up, but you're not going to gain fat. Starches, potatoes are 1 calorie a gram. You cannot get fat eating potatoes. Don't believe me? Look up Andrew Spudfit Taylor. He ate nothing but potatoes for an entire year and lost 120 pounds and reversed his food addiction and his depression. Google KON, the Con Potato Study. A healthy young couple ate nothing but potatoes for an entire year and lost so much weight they had to actually add oil to their food to get enough calories. And after a year had no nutritional deficiencies. Look up Chris Voigt, who was the former head of the Washington Potato Commission, who spoke at one of Dr. McDougall's conferences, who was so upset when the government said people couldn't use food stamps to buy potatoes, but they could use it to buy Kool-Aid and macaroni and cheese, that he ate nothing but potatoes for 30 days and lost so much weight and reversed all of his lifestyle diseases. So it's possible, if you have not been eating carbs, if you've been eating low carbs, that the scale will go up when you eat them. I would encourage you to go to YouTube and watch a video with Dr. Lyle that I did on my channel called Do Carbs Make You Fat? And again, this is something that both the doctors can reinforce the nights they come, but it's possible the scale will go up if you haven't been eating carbs, because you will gain about 4 pounds in weight of glycogen and of water. But starches cannot make you fat. It's what you put on the starches that make you fat. The butter, the cheese, the oil, the bacon. So it's not possible. And also, there are other starches that a lot of people don't eat, but that are delicious, like butternut squash, acorn, Hubbard, delicata, kabocha. These are 200 calories a pound. It's impossible to be fat on a diet that's that calorically dilute, unless you're adding a lot of sugar, fat, and salt to it. Alexis says she lost 5 pounds just by dropping the dried food. Nicola lost 14 pounds and still losing. Terrific. Stopped adding salt. Wondering you know what? This is a really good question for Dr. Goldhammer. But what I would do is have celery. And what you can do is, there's a couple of ways to have it. I mean, obviously you're not going to eat celery on the bike, but what you can do is you can juice celery and then freeze them in ice cube trays and then put them in whatever you're drinking while you're exercising, or drink celery juice. Juice celery and use that when you make soups and stews. Celery has a lot of naturally occurring sodium. So yeah, you probably do need more sodium if you're exercising that much. But I know, and John Pierre has some formulas for this and he can tell you what to do about that. But that's what I would do, is when you want salt, celery is amazing. And you can juice it, you can freeze the juice, you can even drink the juice. And that's opinion on juicing versus smoothie. So neither are good for weight loss. Juicing is worse because you've removed the fiber, which is the most important component of the food. I mean, juicing can be nice if you're like at a True North Health Center and trying to overcome a disease, but for weight loss, liquid calories are never favorable. And I learned this from Dr. Lyle, that when you make smoothies, the food is 12 and a half times more calorically dense. So in other words, we have juicers right here, 32 of them, and blenders, our teeth, and we're meant to chew our food because digestion starts in the mouth. And when we chew it, there's actually calories burned in the chewing and the digesting of it. But when the blender or the juicer does it, it's 12.5% more calorically dense. So smoothies are healthier because the fiber is intact, but neither are good for weight loss. Liquid calories are never going to be favorable for weight loss. Instead of coffee, what is your take on chicories? I don't know what it is. I'm guessing it's a coffee substitute. I haven't tried it. The best coffee substitute I've personally tasted is the dark roast organic from Say Me. If you go to YouTube, you'll see the video, and she gave my viewers a coupon code. It's delicious. It actually tastes kind of like chocolate. I don't drink coffee, but we use it in the date shakes, and I just did the video this week. So I've never had chicory. When you say the weight is slowly creeping up, I need more information, because obviously if it's creeping up, you're doing something different. If what you do isn't permanent, it's not going to be sustainable. So if what you do is different to maintain your weight than when you lost weight, you're going to see the scale creep up. You not only have to do things the same when you lose weight, you probably have to tighten the screws a bit more. So if the weight's creeping up, you're not eating the same way you did to lose the weight. I'm pretty sure that either you're letting things in. Give me more information, please. Jean says, after the course is over, is the non-Facebook group still offered? Okay, so let me answer the second half of the question first, Jean. The January participants have access to the course that they bought in January. They don't have access to the new material. It's not fair, because it's a new course, basically, because we're recreating it. The modules are the same. So if you want to be on the lives and be in the community, you have to register again. So no, you could not be in the support group unless you registered. After the course is over, non-Facebook. This is something we're trying to get to have this group be ongoing, but we do have to train coaches and pay moderators. So the answer is no for right now. For right now,
No.
correct. But we do have the Feel Fabulous, which is a very nice support group, which you can always try for 2 weeks for free. Nicola says, have you ever had this? Oh, she's responding to somebody else. I'll have the electrolytes tested. Okay, that's a good idea. What are thoughts of flour? Again, so Pat from Alabama, there are some wonderful breads you can make, like Jill Dalton's quinoa bread, and they're so much healthier than Wonder Bread or wheat bread or even Ezekiel bread, but they're calorically dense. Anytime a food is dried, the water is removed. So while it's better, good, better, best, if you're trying to lose weight, when you're grinding those grains and baking them up and you're making a cake, it's just not necessarily going to be more favorable for weight loss. But that said, if bread is your thing and you can't live without it, much better, much healthier. What I do instead of bread, as I mentioned, is I use the collard wraps, microwave for 30 seconds. And of course, I love to take the Hannah yams and roast them, chill them, cut them in half, smash them, and that's my bread. That's my sweet potato toast or potato waffles. The dark roast is called Unforgettable Dark Roast Brown Rice Organic Coffee by Seimee, Seimee. If you go to my YouTube page and it was a recent interview with Kiyomi, the founder, and she gave a discount code. And I made it once. I don't drink coffee, but I made it. And it's like, oh my God, this looks like coffee. This tasted more like coffee than even the Dandy Blend, which is the other one I tried. Dandy Blend, it said it's gluten-free, but the first ingredient is barley. I wrote the company. They swear it's gluten-free. Every time I have it, it upsets my stomach. That's why I went to this brand. So I don't think it's a chicory coffee. I think it is it's a rice coffee. I don't think I've had chicory. My skin is beautiful. Yes. Hey, Charles, do you want to grab? Is it possible for you to grab the pink hat? People are asking about it,
Okay.
and I'll show it to you. And you know what? I might be able to really quickly. I don't want to mess up anything. I've had that where like I've been on these lives and then I've gone over here and I've accidentally said goodbye to people. But I'm seeing if I can find the Amazon link to you. Basically, you don't have to get pink, by the way, because they make these in other colors. So what it is it goes very long on the back, so it protects the back of my neck, and this goes over the face. But when you wear it, all it shows is your eyes. And I've learned that sun protection is very important too for your eyes. I have the beginning of a cataract, and the doctor said that he actually said eat more greens, believe it or not, but he also said it's because I didn't wear sunglasses. Okay. Oh shoot! See, I knew this. The chat went away because I jumped screen.
I've got it here.
Let me see if I can. Chef AJ in the. See, this is why I don't like to move around too much. Let's see if I can get it back. Oh, she put it in the store for me. Thank you so much. So this is the chat. Let's see. All right, I think we're good. So Amazon, it was like $14, I think. Okay. Will this Zoom be recorded and available later? That's a good question. I think Toby's recording it, which means we can send it out. Okay, I think that is what I'm seeing for the chat here. So let's see if I have questions here, because a lot of these you guys answered. We did the plateau one. Okay, here's one. Oh yeah, it's so funny. The plateau one we answered. If we have to give up coffee, we answered. Here's one that we didn't answer. If I do the 30-day program, is it necessary that I exercise? Again, it's not a court-ordered program, so I'm not going to come to your house or put a camera in there and see if you exercise every day. If you are able to exercise, and I think that almost everybody is, even people in wheelchairs, even people that are, have different conditions with the working with like a John Pierre privately or a physical therapist can find something. There's usually something that everyone can do. The thing about exercise, it is not necessary to do this during the 30-day program. And I lost almost all my weight without exercise, 47 of the 50 pounds. I was in a wheelchair when I started 10 years ago. But what I learned from Dr. Lyle, and if you've joined the course on the week 4, he'll talk about this, I'm sure, is that what exercise does is increases your self-esteem. And that is going to be so important to long-term success. And when you exercise, especially first thing in the morning, your internal audience takes note. And it makes it easier to stick to a healthy eating plan. So you don't need exercise to lose weight. There was a very important article a few years ago in Scientific American Journal, I think it was Posner that wrote it, basically saying that exercise actually contributes very negligibly to weight loss. Where it becomes very important, though, is weight maintenance, according to Dr. Jim Hill, who co-founded the National Weight and the International Weight Control Registry. But if this is too much for you to like do everything at once, there's a saying, one tweak a week. So if giving up coffee, giving up alcohol, and starting an exercise is like too much, then don't do it right now. Just do your best to get the dietary portion of the program under your belt and build those kitchen fitness skills through the 30 days. So it's not necessary for weight loss, but I think to be a healthy person and prevent Alzheimer's and muscle wasting, I think it is something that at some point, Tammy, that you might want to start doing. Okay, I have managed to lose weight before, then I gain it all back. How can I lose weight and keep it off? By continuing to do what you did to lose weight. That's the only way I know. This is the problem with diets. If you go on a diet, you're going to go off a diet. You have to change your lifestyle and find a way that you can eat that you'll be willing to do the rest of your life. It's the only way I know to have long-term success. Luckily, those of us that have done this love the food we eat. We love it more than the food we used to eat that made us fat and sick. So you can't do one thing to lose weight. People say, well, I'm going to do keto first and lose weight and come to your program. And then it's a disaster because the minute they go off their low carb, they see the scale go up 4 pounds and like, see, I can't eat carbs. So that's ridiculous. Or they do their weighing and measuring program and then they come. You can't mix and match. You got to find a way of eating that you like, that you can sustain, and that will help you get healthy and then lose weight. And that's the thing, people approach it from the wrong thing. People just want weight loss, but they don't want health. Try to take the idea that you're going to eat in a way that's going to sustain your long-term health, prevent and reverse chronic diseases. And when you do that, you will lose weight. So that is why people gain weight, is because they're not doing what they did to lose weight. So if what you're doing isn't something you can continue, of course you're going to gain the weight back. So that's why I've always said, do the least restrictive program you can do that will get you the results you see. Can I have the date shake often and still lose weight? Again, I don't know, because I don't live in your body with your metabolism, with your age, with your level of fitness, with your level of thyroid function, so I don't know. I never have a whole date shake when I have it. What I do is I use caloric density in my favor to make it even more calorically dilute by putting a ton of ice in it. So it's like more volume, less calories. And then I share it with Charles. So I think the date shake, the whole recipe, I hate counting calories, it's probably 550 or something. So I'm getting half. So I don't know if you can have it regularly to lose weight, because I don't know how much you're having. I don't know how many dates you're putting in it. And I don't know what else you're eating. So, I wish I could just say, yes or no, but I don't know. And that's why sometimes we have to run these experiments like we're doing for 30 days. Think of it as a 30-day experiment to see what you can do. That said, the reason I do create these treats is because some people can't dessert entirely. So I try to make them as healthy as I can and as calorically dilute as I possibly can. Okay, I think I saw something in the chat that I might have missed. Yes, exercise helps boost the immune system. Angela says, important during the pandemic. And another thing about exercise is it makes you look better at any weight, longer and leaner. And it actually, for people that suffer with addictions, exercise can actually help rewire the brain. And of course, it builds brain health, bone health, cardiovascular health. The Sherzais have done so many webinars where they said, especially those leg muscles, so important in preventing Alzheimer's. Could I devise a Beyond Burger, include it in your recipes? It's very hard for me to devise something I've never tasted, and I don't want to go back and taste something that's not healthy. But I do have, I think of 4 very good recipe burgers. I have, at least in the membership of the Feel Fabulous, I've got the bean burger. And then my favorite is the best beanless bean burger. And then there's the Chef Bravo burger, and there's the Burger Italiano. And then if you've taken my Chibo classes, I have the sweet potato smoky burger. It doesn't have any beans in it. That'll be in the new version of unprocessed. So I don't know how to make something I've never tasted. That's the thing. I have to taste it at least once to make it. Let's see. Why would blood tests result low iron? I cannot answer medical questions. You have to ask them on week 2 when Dr. Goldhammer's that. But you don't increase iron, you find out what is causing the low iron. You could be bleeding somewhere. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but you don't just treat something until you know the cause of it. So you have to ask your doctor that, or you can ask Dr. Goldhammer on June 8th if you decide to join the course. Is miso okay to eat if it is salty? So I know that some of the plant-based doctors think it's okay because it's fermented and has health benefits, but miso can be higher in sodium than even tamari or low sodium tamari. Now, there are a couple of brands of misos that are a little harder to find, South River and Cold Mountain, that have only 110 milligrams of sodium per teaspoon, which is much better than salt, which is 2,300 milligrams a teaspoon. But again, it is very salty. And for those that are sensitive, it's still an appetite stimulant. So again, Dr. Goldhammer can address this on Tuesday, June 8th, if you like, why he doesn't recommend it. I mean, there are health benefits, but I believe you can get those health benefits from other foods as well. And again, people vary in how susceptible they are to salt being a trigger for them, because it's like with anything, sugar, salt, the more you have, the more you want, and then the more you need it. Even like one of the ladies today was saying, can you use too much Benson's table tasting? I think that's impossible. I mean, not impossible. I think that is possible. Excuse me. All right. So any more, let's see. Oh, here's one. I have food in my house that I probably should not be eating right now. Do I need to get rid of it in order to do the 2-day program? Do you? I don't know. My feeling is if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. And I think if you can, at least for the sake of experiment for the program that you're paying for, do an experiment and not have it in your house to see if it makes a difference, I think you'll have the answer. But you can certainly do the program, have it in your house, but I think that people will have an easier time in a clean environment, especially when they're starting out. 10 years in, I could probably have some crap in here, but I choose not to, but it probably wouldn't be triggering the way it is when you're starting out. So I think if you can, either get rid of it, give it to a neighbor, throw it away, lock it up. I think that you'll find that it's a little easier that way. You guys see any more questions? I'm not seeing them here. I'll hang out for a little bit. Thank you for being here, by the way. And we have some great coaches. I don't know if we're going to have 1 or 2 this time. It depends on how many people join, but we have Zena, who's been at it for years. She's lost over 100 pounds and gotten off all her medications. And if we have enough people that warrants 2 coaches, we also have a wonderful nurse practitioner named Pam. Oh my God, Wendy from Indio. Where are you in Indio? Do we know each other? Because I know a Wendy in Palm Desert. You're not the same Wendy, are you? Okay, let's see. We're both in our 70s and have been relatively fit over our lives. 12 pounds has crept up on me in the past 10 years, and the same for my husband. Slowing metabolisms are at work here and make it much harder to lose weight. We ride bikes 45 minutes daily, but find it very difficult to lose weight. Can your diet help? I cannot guarantee. See, like I would love to say, give me a week and I'll take off the weight, but I cannot guarantee. I don't know what diet you're on right now, but I know my diet will help make anyone healthier and help prevent the most common disease in our culture, heart disease, and even reverse it. The thing with diabetes and autoimmune disease, and I don't want to say cancer, but I do think it's the best way to eat. So if 12 pounds in 10 years that's about a pound a year, a little bit less than a pound a year, which you're right, as a person ages, it does get harder because you need fewer calories. Women especially, they've gone through menopause. So, the exercise is great. The thing is diet trumps exercise. You can't outrun your mouth. And so I always think of Dr. Goldhammer when I worked at True North. He would always say, show me an overweight Wendy. You're in my community? Wow. I don't know your maybe you don't want to put your last name here, but hello. I used to teach cooking classes in this community. We live in the same community. Well, that's amazing. So Dr. Goldhammer always would say, show me an overweight person and I'll show you somebody unwilling to eat enough raw salads and steamed vegetables. And so just doing, especially if you're not taking the course this time or ever, one of the things I really recommend is addition more than subtraction. And so people are like, do I have to give up this? Do I have to give up this? And it's like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but try adding more calorically dilute, nutrient dense food. Try adding more vegetables, more salad, not salad with blue cheese dressing, but try adding more vegetables to your diet. The study they did at Tufts University showed that the more vegetables a person eats per day, the lower their body weight and BMI. So if somebody is struggling with their weight or overweight, I live on Campana too. How do you like that? What a coincidence, huh? So you're the second house from the corner, right? On my side. Yeah, I think. Anyway, just try eating more fruits and vegetables and eat them whole, not juiced, not smoothies, and see if it makes a difference. I think the most important thing, and we talk about this, but I think maybe we don't talk about it enough, and this is why I don't recommend oatmeal and fruit for breakfast, but greens for breakfast, is there's a compound in greens called thylakoid. So it's not in, as much as I love zucchini, it's not there. It's in the dark green leafy vegetables, thylakoids. And what they've been proven to do is not only block fat absorption, but they cut cravings for sugar, for sweets. They turn off the hunger switch. And so starting your day in that nutrient-dense way makes a difference. So again, eat more vegetables. Even if you're eating things that I might not recommend or eat, like animal products and processed food, dilute the overall caloric density of all your meals by making visually half your plate vegetables. I hope that helps. I love your tops. So talk about addiction. So Elspeth Feldman, the Speedy Vegan, I was wearing a lot of t-shirts, and the thing is I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings because they send me t-shirts, but I don't like t-shirts, not that much. I like a few that are really soft, but I'm not a t-shirt person, but I was wearing a t-shirt every day, and she felt I needed to up my game, that I was doing a daily show. She sent me like 10 tops from 2 companies, Boston Proper and Venus, and then Linda Middlesworth started sending me companies from Amelie and Patty Boutique. So that's where they're from. Venus is my favorite because it's the cheapest of all of them. But a lot of my tops are from Walmart now. I just got 18 tops for $77. So a lot of the tops you're seeing are from Walmart. Never shopped at Walmart in LA because we just didn't have one. But now there's one on every corner here. Let's see. Terry from NC says, I love oatmeal too for breakfast. What in the world does Charles eat before he eats oatmeal? What vegetables complements oatmeal? So he doesn't eat his vegetables with his oatmeal. He eats them first. And his favorite is something that we get at Trader Joe's called Cruciferous Crunch. It's a blend of finely shredded purple cabbage, green cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and kale. And he loves that. And we cook it in the Instant Pot with 1.5 cups of water. And it makes the broth that I drink in the morning called pot liquor, and that's what he loves, and he puts a little lemon juice on it. So you can make savory oats, with vegetables, shiitake, mushrooms, greens. I think I have a recipe in one of my books, but you don't have to have your oats with your fruits. So yeah, the thing is, it's not about giving up the oatmeal. It's about eating vegetables first so that you're starting to fill up on the more calorically dilute foods first, right? And the thing is, if you are going to eat oatmeal, please eat it cooked in water, because if you eat it just as muesli, the dry oats, it's 1,800 calories a pound. It's like eating crackers or bread or chips. So you want to make sure your oats or all your grains are cooked in water and not eaten raw. That's the problem when you make those quinoa breads is instead of having a caloric density of 500 calories a pound, it's now 1,800, or maybe it's not 1,800, but it's a lot more. Okay, is there something here? I think I saw miso. If no miso, what do you use to flavor soups? Spices. Julie, have you ever tried any of my recipes like the cauliflower bisque? I mean, there's no miso in there. They're amazing. There's dill in there, and there's chipotle powder and smoked paprika, and there's a little bit of Benson's Table Tasty. Nutritional yeast is optional. So yeah, you don't need miso to flavor soup. Marjorie says, only one in my house doing this. Everyone else not on board. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. Let's see. My boyfriend just can't get on board with no oil. He's sure he needs it for cooking. With all due respect, he's wrong. I don't know if he's a professional chef. That's what they teach in culinary school. But the truth is the only thing oil does is make you fat and sick. Oil injures your endothelial lining, which is the life jacket of your circulatory system, and it makes people fat because it's 4,000 calories a pound. Flavor doesn't come from oil, and I can tell you that from professional chefs. What oil does is it coats the taste buds of your tongue so that now you need to add a lot more salt for you to taste your food. Chef Ramses Bravo does this presentation. I've seen him do it live, and if you were a person that he would call up, you would see what he's saying, where he makes a traditional dressing out of 3 parts oil and 1 part flavor, he calls it. So usually it's like 3 parts oil, 1 part vinegar, but he calls it flavor. And so he makes it the traditional way. And then he makes it the way they do it at True North, using like fruits or nuts or things like that. And everybody that tasted both all said that the oil one was disgusting when they could taste what flavor could taste like without oil. So people like oil because the more concentrated the calories, the more dopamine is released in the brain. That's the neurotransmitter that's released whenever we have a pleasurable experience. And at 4,000 calories per pound, nothing releases it more than oil. So I have worked with lots of restaurants. One, for example, in LA called Hugo's, where they took the oil out and they didn't tell the customers and nobody even noticed. So if it really is there for flavor, then wouldn't this very, very popular restaurant that's frequented by celebrities have said something when they took it out of all the soup and all the dressing and all the sauces? Nobody knew. Only people that knew about the secret menu knew about the no oil lot. And so other restaurants I've worked with have done this. So oil just is expensive. It's hypercaloric malnutrition. It's for cars. It's not for people. So there is no, if oil was responsible for taste, oil has no taste unless you put something in it like salt. So, he doesn't have to get on board with it, but it's just basically adding toxins to your food. You need fat, but you don't need oil. If you're going to eat fat, eat whole food fat, ground flax seeds, chia seeds, and maybe an ounce of walnuts, but you certainly don't need oil. And I would recommend that with heart disease being the #1 killer and 50% of people have sudden death as their first symptom, that he would read Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease and understand that it's not really a healthy food. And especially for somebody that is overweight, it is really, really not a healthy food. So, if he wants to add fat, let him add, tahini or, those kind of things. Blood sugar is dropped. Is there a food I should be eating? This is not my area of expertise. I recommend people with blood sugar issues to either read or sign up for the webinars of Robbie and Cyrus from Mastering Diabetes, because they both have it. Actually, just reading their book might be enough. So this, again, would be a question for Dr. Goldhammer on Tuesday, June 8th. But a food to be eating with, I don't know a particular food that is responsible for making, I'm not going to answer that because I'm not a doctor and I don't want to steer you wrong. But if you can hang out until June 8th, if you can wait, I know that Dr. Goldhammer would be happy to answer that question. I do know that for people with blood sugar issues, it's probably better to eat the lower glycemic foods than the higher ones. So, for example, instead of eating dried fruit or mango, to eat lower glycemic fruits like berries, grapefruit, apple kind of thing. It's better to eat your grains whole, like the oat groat versus the instant oat. And it's better to eat things like legumes, which really are supposed to be wonderful for balancing blood sugar in diabetics, beans and greens. So you might want to consider adding more of those. And if you're eating some of the other things, not have those. I'm still getting with the program, but I'm starting vegetables mixed with oatmeal. Very good. Yeah. And if that's what you have to do to start, mix it. That's fine. Just get those veggies in by any greens necessary. What are the setting for greens in the Instant Pot? I do 5 minutes for him because he likes things really soft. He doesn't like anything crunchy. It's like we're exact opposite that way. But if I was doing it for me, I'd probably do 0 minutes. I'm excited, looking forward to Tuesday, says Margot. Is the Ultimate Reboot the same as offered in January? Yes, absolutely. So Jean, what stays the same is the delivery of the modules every day from June 1st to June 30th. What is different is the 5 new lives that will be 2.5 hours minimum every Tuesday in June. 2 of them with the doctors, Lyle and Goldhammer, 3 with me and JP. So those will be all brand new. Plus what's different this time is we were able to get a community support system off of Facebook there. So you'll have that with each other. Oh, and were we able to see each other in January? I can't remember if we had it that
In the
way.
Zooms?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
If
So
they turn their cameras
yeah, and
on.
we can see each other if you turn your cameras on. So yeah, my cholesterol went down. Very good. Okay. Well, I'll hang out and see if anything more happens. The magic happens. Do I have I did the environment, coffee. Yeah, I think I got everything that was sent in. 1, 2, 3, and then the questions there. So Yeah, we won't have another program till January, or at least not this one. But we have lots of free programs all year round. Toby and I do 2 summits a year. We do the Truth About Weight Loss, which we did in February, and we are doing the GI Health Summit, which is going to be happening in the fall around Halloween. And, of course, I'm live every day. So almost every day at 11. Thank you for getting off Facebook. Yeah, you're welcome, Ginny. It's an addiction. And I try to help people get off all of their addictions. So my life has been so much better since I'm off social media. And I have time to actually have a balanced life and do things that I love instead of I spend enough time anyway, but I'm so glad that I'm off it. And I think it's more meaningful. Carol loved the 21-day challenge. Thank you. Let's see what else is coming up. This is June. Yeah. You're so welcome. Yeah. So, and also, like, I do answer, when I do my live show every day, which, by the way, how does one sign up? Sparky. That was my favorite dog's name. That's a great name. I'm sure we could put it, well, actually, maybe.
It's right below your picture. It says Reboot with Chef AJ.
It's right below my picture, they're saying.
Reboot with Chef AJ. It's a button.
It's a button. Let's see.
Right.
And let's see if I can put it in the chat. I don't know if that'll work, but I'll try. There we go.
Toby just put it in the
Oh,
chat.
Toby did. Toby beat me to it. Diane's excited to take this program. So there's where we signed up. You still like Facebook, but I curate what I follow. Very good. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad for everybody. I just think that, if you have an iPhone, it tells you how many hours you're spending on it. And some people just are living their life more virtually than actually in person. So thank you for such a wonderful teacher. I learned so much of the 21-day challenge. Thank you. Yeah, 21-day challenge we offer once a year too. So this will be the last time to have one of these programs with us because I got to get back to writing. I've got like 4 books that they're waiting on. It's like ridiculous. I need to just have more time to write, but they have to sit down to write. So that's what I'll be doing. It's I got 4 ahead of me. People are waiting because some of them are projects with other people. And but I do like teaching the classes, and I think you'll get a kick out of Dr. If you have never experienced Dr. Alan Goldhammer, he's just a hoot. It's like attending a stand-up comedy session. He sometimes does a little bit of a PowerPoint, but he's a very, very funny guy. And then of course Dr. Lyle is just absolutely wonderful. Any exercise videos on FFOF? Well, we just had a session a few weeks ago with someone, Aubrey, who did a really cool style of exercise where you do affirmations. I've been dealing with a torn rotator cuff for over a year now, so I'm kind of out of commission for that. But Toby, since you're watching, if we could maybe find a way to do more exercise videos. Sparky found it good. Anyway, I've kept you quite long enough. AMC from NC, thank you for all you do. You're a great teacher, leading by example. And what time are the live Zoom classes, Laura wants to know. So there are 4, it's always hard to pick the best day and the best time for the whole world. But it's funny, we've had people in like other countries that will stay up till midnight, like in London to be on the lives. So we chose 4 p.m. Pacific time, thinking that most of the people are probably in the United States, and that if 4 p.m. is 7 p.m. on the East Coast, so even if it were to go 3 hours, they still could, get to bed at a reasonable hour. So please do the 21-day challenge sooner. I don't know if that fits in with our calendar, but maybe we could run it again, and I don't know if we just don't know. People seem to want to do less in the summer because, the kids and vacations and things. Julie says, I used to mash bananas with oats to make no-cook bars. Is there another grain? Well, I mean, are you meaning like a less processed grain? Because if it was less processed, like an oat groat, it would be pretty hard to eat. What are you, quinoa flakes maybe, but that would be more processed. What else can you mash with banana to make it? I don't know, to make no-cook bars. That's interesting that you were able to do them without cooking. Oh, what am I doing about the torn rotator cuff? I'm starting a new type of physical therapy on Monday, recommended by my doctor. It's a little bit different than your traditional one, where it's like I'm with a trainer the whole time doing stuff. So that's what I'm starting to do. I don't want to do the shots and the drugs unless it's certainly not the surgery. There is something called PRP that I might consider, but Dr. Goldhammer's not liking it for me. So I'm going to I did physical therapy when it happened and it was great, but this is like a more targeted, and we'll see. I'm going to commit to at least 1 to 3 months of that. So I just hoped it gets better because I want to play pickleball again. All right. Well, let's stay 2 more minutes. See you later. My internet will. Oh, this is Angela. Angela. Hi, Angela. I know it's Angela South Beach, but yeah, because it's giving you like your name and your city, like Pat, Alabama, Julie, Scottsdale. I realize that now that's not your last names. Okay, nice. All right. Well, guys, there's an old saying, do your best and bless the rest. But also realize if you've always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. So if what you're doing doesn't work, maybe try something new. And the best advice I can give you is what one of my favorite t-shirts says, which is grow up and eat your damn vegetables, because that really will make a difference. It'll make a difference in your skin, in your weight, Alzheimer's prevention, cravings. There's no downside to it. So especially those of you that say you're at a plateau, I wonder how many vegetables you're eating a day. Because when I was losing weight, I was eating like 4 pounds. I have some days 6 pounds of vegetables. Now I just can't eat as much. I eat about 2 pounds, but up those greens and your life will change. All right. So I'll stay here till 11 if you want. Not 11 p.m. though, 11 a.m. when I've got the show. Today I have a nurse practitioner on. Oh, good. And you're in again, XOXO. Good. So, yeah, I mean, it's, again, I really recommend to get community support, if not with me, with someone else. I think for most people, unless you're a real hardcore introvert, it really does make a difference to have that group support. That's why we do Feel Fabulous and have those group meetings every Wednesday at 4. My PT used dry needling. You know what? My orthopedic doctor does that, but and very cool. So I need to be better with my home exercises too, Listen, I'm not perfect. I might eat perfect, but I'm not perfect. Can you please give the link for your show? Sure. It's basically just YouTube, but I'm going to give you the direct link. Like if you were just to go to YouTube and put in Chef AJ, you would get to it. And it's 11 o'clock every day. Some days there's a bonus show at 2. Once in a while it's at 9 when we have Dr. McDougall. And I can tell you how many episodes there are now. 532. So have fun. And then there's 230 weight loss Wednesdays. So, so again, I got a lot of free content. So when people say, there's a lot of stuff, I've had people just watch all my weight loss Wednesdays and lose all the weight that they needed to lose without ever, signing up for any of my programs or even buying my books. Do you only have one day to register? It closes
Sunday night at midnight.
Sunday night at midnight. So you have like a day and a half right now. Do you eat the cooked greens? Do I prefer my greens? Okay. If it's salad, then I prefer it raw. And so salad would be like different kinds of, I get something at Costco called Power Greens. It comes in a 20-ounce bag. And I believe it's spinach and chard and kale, and I chop it really fine. So if I'm going to eat it as a salad, I prefer it raw. Otherwise, I prefer it cooked because it's too voluminous when it's raw. A pound of cooked greens is like this, but a pound of raw greens is this huge bag. You cook it and it like fits in your hand. So you generally get to eat more if you eat it cooked. And that's what we want you to eat, more vegetables. Thank you for your answers. Well, thank you for your questions. And cool. All right. Well, I'll see some of you guys Tuesday, hopefully, and look forward to having you in the class. And that's that. So I don't know if, Toby, you want me to click the button to leave? Yeah, you love the Power Greens from Costco. What I love about them is they come in a plastic bag instead of those boxes that some of the other companies have. So those are really good. And,
Okay.
that's that. So I don't know.
We are going to go off air. Thank you so much, AJ, for taking the time and answering literally every question we got today. And we hope everyone got some value to you today. And some of you we'll see on Tuesday. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we'll answer your questions. I promise.
We got today. And we hope everyone got some value to you today. And some of you we'll see on Tuesday. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we'll answer your questions. I promise.
We got today. And we hope everyone